Hi, this is Les Levine, the self-proclaimed voice of truth and reason in Ohio sports. Anybody see Franmil Reyes last night? 5 for 5 with one hit harder than the next. He seems too much of a nice guy to compare him to a former Indians outfielder, and his venom doesn't quite compare. But if he keeps hitting like he did last night, I'm going to start thinking about Albert Bell every time he comes to the plate. The D-man, Dennis Manoloff, is here. More sports, and Les Levine is on the air. From the worldwide headquarters of More Sports and Les Levine, it's a Wednesday night. Good evening, everyone. Welcome once again to More Sports and Les Levine. And we're powered by cleveland.com as we enter into our 25th year of doing this on a nightly basis. 216-575-0403 is the number to call if you'd like to get in. And you can also email us during the show, and that's the real Les Levine at gmail.com. It is Wednesday. That means the D-man who's taking over leaps and bounds on WTAM 1100, 50,000 watt station, but it's nothing without you, D-man.
You're too kind, Les. Thank you very much for the compliment, and thanks for having me on again this Wednesday.
All right, now we don't normally go to voicemail as early as this, but we want to get things started. Let's see what the self-proclaimed voice of truth and reason brought in tonight.
Hey, Les. All right, it's been 48 hours, but I still can't make heads or tails out of the Clevenger trade. I think that they really jumped the gun on this. They should have held on to him until the off season. I see no benefit in running out to get a grab bag of players that are basically the equivalent of Bradley Zimmer, Bobby Bradley, Yu Chang, a lot of guys that may be 4A players. It just doesn't make any sense.
All right, D-man, let's take the other side. What does make sense about this? And if it's not enough, why did they make the deal?
Well, it makes sense if you buy into the idea that, as I do, that the Indians are not in the business, or at least this ownership is not in the business of going all in to try to win a World Series year in and year out, as we would define going all in. In other words, stockpile as many studs as possible and pay them handsomely. This is an organization now under this ownership that decided they're going to try to annually contend for the AL Central Division title and therefore the playoffs. And if they get into the postseason, then the postseason is a crapshoot and they'll see how far they can go. But the days of the Indians spending beaucoup dollars to, quote, try to win a World Series, in my opinion, are over. Now, those words will get, backlash from the Indians. They'll say, well, of course we're in the business to win the World Series. Of course we want to win it all. Yeah, you could say that publicly, but your actions, in my opinion, are different than that. And honestly, I'm in the real world now, Les. I don't believe anymore that the Cleveland Indians are going to go full fantasy baseball and try to win a World Series every year. So I just am content with what their philosophy is.
All right, but it's hard for me to believe that millionaires and billionaires who own franchises, I got to believe when they walk into the owners' meetings, they don't want to be a second-place team. They want to be one showing the ring, showing the trophy, showing all that stuff. When I hear people say the Dolans don't want to win, I look for reasons why that would be true, and I don't find them. There's nothing that can be sold on to say they don't want to win.
Let me. All right. Well, unless I be misconstrued, in no way did I mean to say that I don't think the Dolans want to win. I think every owner wants to win a World Series. Okay, but each owner takes a different path to getting there, and I think the days of the Dolan ownership with 9-digit payrolls on opening day, I think those days are over. And I think what they've decided is They're going to do their best to get into the playoffs. And they've looked at the playoff landscape and said, you know what? In Major League Baseball, a lot can happen in the postseason. The best team doesn't always win. So if we win a World Series, great. That does not mean I'm saying the Dolans don't want to win. It just means they're operating under a different set of circumstances, in
All right.
my opinion.
So where does the Clevenger deal come in? Does this come in where what he did, what he and Plesac did in Chicago that night, that was that strong that it forced the shakeup that wouldn't allow them to wait to the end of the year? Or is the Clevenger, is that more of waiting for arbitration next year? Maybe there's some, we don't know, but of the 6 guys they got from San Diego, maybe one was one that they highlight on and think that that's the one that's going to make the deal happen, even though we don't know who that guy is. So where does that stand?
Well, I think it's a little bit of everything you just said, Les. I would have preferred they hang on to Clevenger through this year and go into the postseason with a 1-2 punch of Bieber and Clevenger, not necessarily counting on Carlos Carrasco to be dominant, because I do wonder a little bit about his stamina. But at the very least, I would have Bieber and Clevenger at the top of my rotation as I go through this crazy playoff format that is 2020. They decided not to do it, so because they trade him, it looks like what he did in Chicago had something to do with it. And I suppose that could be the case. Now, of course, Antonetti's going to deny it publicly, Chris Antonetti, president of baseball operations, which he did, because, he doesn't want it to be known at all that was the reason. But you have to believe the Padres, they can read the tea leaves. They understand that Clevenger was probably more expendable than not because of what went down in Chicago. But I will say this. If you're an organization and you are just going to trade people based on their off the field stuff or their antics, then you got issues, I think. You can't strictly unload a guy because of behavioral problems.
Well, I agree with that, and that's why I believe that there's much more to it than what we're led to believe.
That's entirely possible. Yeah, unless the guy becomes a malcontent and he's so defiant of authority, he's like, I hate this place. Okay, fine, then you got to move him. But to me, it looked like Mike Clevenger had come back from the banishment, from the alternate site banishment. It looked like he had come back repentant and very sorrowful about what he had done. And it looked like he was going to be the citizen of the year for the remainder of the season. That's why I felt like you could hold on to him until at least the offseason and then move him. But
well, Bieber did the same thing. What a performance he turned in the other night. And I don't care if they're playing Kansas City, Detroit, or anybody else. This is the big leagues, and they responded, as we would hope they would.
Well, you're talking about Plesac last night?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, well, right. And that's why I found it comical almost, Les, when you heard people say, well, because of what Plesac and Clevenger did, because of their immaturity, the Indians got to get rid of both of them. Why? I mean, you don't have to get rid of both of them. You didn't even have to get rid of one of them. Okay. If you have other reasons for getting rid of Clevenger, fine. But don't tell me, you just got to get rid of both Clevenger and Plesac. Zach Plesac is a really, really good pitcher that you could potentially have under your control for years and years and years. You don't just cast him aside because of what he did in Chicago.
All right, what we haven't mentioned is the possibility that the Indians look at Clevenger the way I look at him, and that is he's a guy with an injury waiting to happen. I've never seen a motion like that, and now that you see it, you wonder how it's ever going to get through the year or next year or the year after that. And I wonder if that's part of it also.
It could be, Les, but remember this. The other team has scouts, and the other team has pitching coordinators and pitching coaches. So the San Diego Padres, no doubt, looked at the same motion that we look at, and they said, you know what, we're comfortable enough with this guy for the next couple of years. Even if we over here might have thought, okay, that's an injury waiting to happen, the Padres obviously felt like it was good enough for them to take the risk. And I think that if you want to look at it this way, the Padres got what they wanted, what they desperately needed, which was a front of the rotation starter to go with that really exciting lineup and some other pieces in on that pitching staff. The Indians got three players they immediately promote to the majors, three who are prospects. They keep evolving as a roster, as an organization, to try to stay contenders, but not fall into the dreaded rebuild mode that Detroit and Kansas City are in. So, in one sense, both sides got what they wanted.
Well, how about this? When the Indians made their turnaround in the 90s, right at the beginning, you had a trade. You don't think of San Diego as being a major franchise, but the Indians made that deal getting Sandy Alomar and a couple of others. Who else did they wind up getting in that?
Baerga.
And Baerga was the key, was the key guy in that trade. And so they do that, and now they're starting this or ending this season with another trade with San Diego and hoping for the same result.
Yeah, Les. I mean, I got no complaints, zero, with the acquisition of Franmil Reyes, and I don't think you or Brian or Mike or anybody else should complain about the fact that the Indians have Franmil Reyes. Well, how did they get Reyes? They got him in a three-way trade from the Padres that involved Trevor Bauer going to the Reds. So kudos to Chris Antonetti and GM Mike Chernoff for pulling off a trade in which you essentially moved Trevor Bauer for Franmil Reyes. Now, yes, the Indians will say, well, we also got Logan Allen and Scott Moss and a couple other prospects. But the bottom line is it was Bauer for Reyes. I'll make that trade basically 10 times out of 10 because the Indians desperately needed a power bat in the middle of their lineup. I mean, imagine this lineup, Les, without Franmil Reyes in it. It struggles to score enough as it is. Without Franmil, they would be, one of the worst, historically worst offensive teams in Major League Baseball. So
last night he had one shot after another. One was harder than the one before.
Yeah, and so that's an example of a bold trade where they move a stud starting pitcher and they get instant gratification, and it's probably going to last for years and years and years because Reyes could just settle in at that designated hitter spot, and they have him under control for so long. It is also interesting to note, Les, that the Cleveland Indians, in the span of, what is it now, 11, 12, 13, 14 months, by my count, have traded Trevor Bauer, Corey Kluber, and Mike Clevenger. That's kind of fascinating and I know they're done for different reasons, and I get that Bauer was in his prime, Kluber's not.
But they still came out whole when it was all said and done.
Well, you certainly would have liked to have seen more for Corey Kluber, but obviously the market wasn't there because I don't think the Indians were exclusive to the Texas Rangers. I think they opened Kluber up to anybody. And the bottom line is other teams were looking at Kluber being on the wrong side of 30 and having injuries. And they were saying, you know what, we're not going to give you too much in return,
though they didn't get too much in return.
Two-time Cy Young winner.
Yeah, they didn't get much in return. But they did unload him, which is hard to do sometimes.
What's that?
Also. Well, they didn't get anything in return when you think about it.
Well, right now it doesn't look good. The Kluber trade doesn't look good. Emmanuel Clase, the 100-mile-an-hour reliever, he got busted for PEDs. Delino DeShields Jr., fourth outfielder, hanging in, trying to help in center field until Mercado figures it out. So right now the return for Kluber doesn't look good, anywhere near what the return for Bauer was. We'll have to wait and see on Clevenger's return. And here's the thing, Les. You don't want to say this to impatient fans, but the return on Clevenger, you might not know if it works out for several years because at least Franmil Reyes was an established power bat. He had a resume in the major leagues. these guys that they're bringing in, Quantrill and Hedges, the catcher, and then Naylor, the outfielder, they haven't really proven anything where you could say, okay, we're guaranteed to get this, this, and this from them.
Yeah. Well, we this shouldn't be a surprise to anybody, but Shane Bieber named the American League Pitcher of the Month. Excuse me, 6-0 in the month of 4-0 record, or 6 starts rather, 4-0 record, 1.63 ERA, 57 strikeouts, 12 walks. Opponents hit 169 off him. That's incredible stuff. I don't care who you're talking about or when you're talking about him in the season. You can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/more sports and less Levine. New content is posted each and every day. We make it easy for you. We post a question, you post the answer. We read it that night. How much easier can you get than that? More sports and less Levine continues in a moment with Dennis Manoloff. We are powered by cleveland.com.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
Do you like Ohio State football? Would you like to get information from me, Doug Maurice, about Ohio State football without having to look at my face? We have got the plan for you. Become an Ohio State text subscriber through cleveland.com. You send a text, 614-350-3315. What do you get? 2, 3, 4 texts right in your phone every day about Ohio State football. Inside information, polls, voting, all kinds of things. You can be on our podcast. We take text subscriber questions on our Buckeye Talk podcast every week. If you really want to be involved with Ohio State football, in season or out of season, become an Ohio State text subscriber from cleveland.com. Send a text to 614-350-3315. 14-day free trial. What do you have to lose? $3.99 a month after that. 614-350-3315. I'll see you in your phone.
Tri-C is here for you. Now more than ever, you need a post-secondary education. So I encourage you to start your journey here at Tri-C. The majority of fall classes will take place online, but we've added a variety of formats to meet your learning needs, and we've taken many steps to keep you safe on campus. Whether you're ready to get started or your four-year plans have changed, Tri-C is where futures begin.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Hi, welcome back to More Sports and Less Levine. Les and Dennis, Browns tight ends seem to be doing pretty well in training camp. Austin Hooper has developed a strong rapport with Baker Mayfield, and Harrison Bryant just recently won the Maurice Bassett Award for most outstanding rookie in training camp so far. So maybe an option is to try and trade David Njoku. One option they could look at is Malik Hooker, who was actually put on the trade block earlier in the year before the NFL draft. The Colts actually declined their fifth-year option on him, so they may be looking to get rid of him at some point. He's 24 years old, has spent 3 NFL seasons, 51 tackles, 2 interceptions in 2019, and has 7 career interceptions in 34 games. As we know, he's an Ohio State alum, so Les, Dennis, is this a trade that you might consider pursuing if the opportunity arises?
Hey, man, this is the exact reason you didn't give in to Njoku when he first made his demands to get traded. You waited to see what happened, what developed around, and what's developed is Malik Hooker. If you could get Malik Hooker for a very upset or concerned player in Njoku, I'd do that yesterday.
So would I, but somehow I don't think that's going to be amenable to the uh, Indianapolis Colts. I'm not saying that Hooker is all that in a bag of chips, but I think if you could swing it, if both sides were agreeable to it, then I would do it.
Do you
But
agree that that's
especially
exactly why
what
the Browns did
happened,
what they did with Njoku?
what's that?
Do you agree that this is the perfect setup for what they did with Njoku, just to wait and see if something like this would develop?
Oh, absolutely. I said right at the time that there was no reason for the Cleveland Browns to give in to the demands, if you will. I use that in quotes, or the request of Njoku's new agent, Drew Rosenhaus. Jim Rosenhaus. Can you imagine if Rosie was representing Njoku, Les? But
There's
I
a
mean,
contract down the left field line.
there was no reason for the Browns to give in there. They can hang on. They could hold on to him, and maybe he's able to fit into Stefanski's two tight end scheme. But if they feel like he isn't, then they can wait until a deal suits them, and then they're not forced to do it.
No, but you don't need 4 tight ends in the NFL, where if you have one good one, that's enough. I mean, right now the Browns are sitting with 4 tight ends.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't blame Njoku for getting restless, but then again, he doesn't have a whole lot of leverage. So if I were Njoku, I would try to earn as many snaps as I could today. I mean, this season with the Browns, and see what happens after that.
All right, so at this point, they don't make a deal. Charles Robinson of Yahoo Sports is saying that Clowney rejected several offers from the Browns, including offers of 1 year, 2 years, and 3 years, worth about 17 to 18 million a year. Are you glad they have not come away with Clowney, or would you still like them to make a run? I don't understand why he's still out there.
I mean, assuming that's true, Les, I don't want the guy. All right. If he's going to turn down that kind of money, God bless him. Hey, if he thinks he can get more somewhere else, or let's say a similar amount for a better team, okay, great. But to me, that is indicative of why you pass on the guy, or why you don't worry about not signing him,
Right.
if he's holding out for that much cash.
Yeah, it's not like he was in that much demand with anybody else, but his name is a kind of a sexy name out there, Jadeveon Clowney, and everybody remembers the play he made in the bowl game against Michigan. But his career hasn't been that way ever since. So I don't need another headache, and I'm saying another one. I don't need a headache in the locker room, and I believe he would be one. And there's a couple others out that are out free that might be the same deal.
Right, and I think it speaks volumes that, as far as we know, Les, and what is it, 6:23 p.m. as of now, Eastern time on September 2nd, that Clowney has not signed with anybody, as far as we know.
Look how fast the money goes. Once it gets to this point, think how fast that money goes away.
Yeah, right, and honestly, if the Browns were, let's say, making a mistake, even if they hadn't offered him anything, you say, well, why didn't the Browns aggressively pursue Clowney? Which apparently they did, but let's say they didn't. Well, what does it tell you that he's not signed with anybody to this point?
Yeah, he's not as good as as he made himself out to be. So
right.
I'd like him. There was a time I would have thought it was a good idea to go after him. This is not the time. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to play ball, and that would be a week from Sunday. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. Dennis Manoloff with us. You can email us during the show at reallesLevine@gmail.com. Northeast Factory Direct, they've got 4 locations when you include the website. A phenomenal website. Check them all out. West 140th Street, Lakeland Boulevard in the Euclid, and Freeway Drive, that, of course, in Macedonia. Dennis and I return in a moment. We are powered by cleveland.com.
Wow, Get Nature's Stone and never replace your garage flooring again. Act now for huge summer savings on our exclusive Nature's Blend Stone, as low as $2.99 a square foot plus installation. Only Nature's Stone eliminates cracked, uneven concrete, and Nature's Stone never peels like cheap paints and coatings. Safe, beautiful garage flooring that's always backed by Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor.
Wow, it's Nature's Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just a mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Yeah, Coach Prefer and I go way back and really have enjoyed spending a bunch of time with Coach Preef. And I really can lean on him with his knowledge of the roster, with the guys that have been here. Coach Preef is so organized. So the two of us sit down and talk a lot about scheduling. You know, back in the day, Coach Preef was doing schedules for Tom Coughlin in Jacksonville. So he's somebody that I lean on in that area. And on a personal level, just thrilled to be working with him again.
I think Kevin's done a phenomenal job. I think he has shown the team and this organization and this whole area what a great leader he is. He's done a really nice job with understanding every situation. He's also a guy that's not an ego guy, that he's going to ask, guys like myself and Bill Callahan and Joe Woods and Alex Van Pelt and the other guys on our staff for our opinion. And I think we've done a nice job communicating with him and helping him through this. But quite honestly, he's done a great job leading this organization through all those different factors.
There you have it. It's good that these guys are back together again, assuming they had the kind of reputation, the kind of way that they had it, the way that they worked together. We assume they did, or else the hire wouldn't have been made.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Les, I guess I'm a little nervous about how, and this is the Cleveland pessimist in me, but how much praise has been heaped upon Kevin Stefanski since he's come here. I mean, have you heard one criticism of Kevin Stefanski? I mean,
no, I haven't, and there's no reason to believe. We're all rooting for him, but there's no reason to believe that he's the guy. I mean, he hasn't really done anything at that level to make you suggest that. We hope he does.
Yeah, exactly. I want Kevin Stefanski to lead the Browns to a Super Bowl title. The sooner the better, okay? I'm just a little bit nervous about how much praise has been heaped upon him. And he's not the guy doing it. Don't get me wrong. He's not the guy, self-promoting. But I think that just because he's really, really smart doesn't automatically mean that his first year as an NFL head coach is going to go seamlessly. That's not the only trick you have in your bag, your brain. You've got to, there's got to be a lot more that happens.
He's going to run into stuff that you and I as fans have seen year after year after year, and we're going to see how he handles it. Everyone has to be handled a different way, but boy, the last several they've had here in Cleveland have not been able to do that.
Yeah, even the smartest of the smart coaches has to go through the learning curve of a first year.
Right.
So, but who knows? Maybe if he goes out in week 1 against Baltimore and shocks the world, all of a sudden, I'll be completely on the Stefanski train. But I want to see results first.
You talk about shocking the world against Baltimore, and of course the Browns did that last year, early in the season. I haven't made a bet on a football game other than a Super Bowl game. I have not made a bet on. I can't tell you how many years. I look at this point spread, and the Browns are 8.5-point underdogs against the Ravens. I think you got to take the Ravens if that's the case. I don't know if the Browns can hang in within double digits. D-Man?
Well, unless it's 8.5 without fans too. I mean, you would think that it might be closer to 10 if there were, a full house of Ravens fans and you had to deal with that crowd noise. Even though we know the NFL is going to be pumping in crowd noise and it'll make the Ravens feel like they're at home. The fact is, both teams know they're playing in front of no fans to speak of.
And Roger Goodell is on record as saying he doesn't think that that'll matter. And I can't believe that the commissioner of football of the NFL would actually believe that having fans in there wouldn't make a difference as far as what the scoreboard looks like.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. But Les, as far as the 8.5, I said this for a while. I would rather have the Browns sneak up on people than be expected to win, because we saw how the expectation to win worked out last year.
Right.
Remember the opener? They were going to smash the Tennessee Titans on their way to the Super Bowl, and Mike Vrabel and the gang came in and said, no, we're going to beat you up really bad, and you're going to look silly, and the rest of the season is going to be an uphill climb, save for the victory in Baltimore when they were 2-2.
Right.
But I think 8.5 is about right, because number one, the Browns haven't proven anything. They're coming off 6-10. Their quarterback did not play particularly well last year. They have a new NFL head coach. They're trying to install everything in the era of COVID, so it's that much more difficult. And then on the other side of it, you have the two-time defending AFC North champ with the reigning MVP Lamar Jackson. You have a well-established system on both sides of the ball, the defense and the offense, with a veteran coaching staff led by John Harbaugh. You have skilled players everywhere that are talented. You have a defense that can be good, although the Titans ran through them last year and the Browns beat them in Baltimore, and we know that. But the bottom line is I don't quibble much with 8.5 as the spread.
No, I've been saying for the last week and a half, and I don't know if you can tell a football team to do this, but based on who they have and when they have them, starting with Baltimore and then coming back at home against Cincinnati, I almost look at the first two games as trap games for the Browns, because I don't expect them to win against Baltimore, and I do expect them to win against Cincinnati. And if you can sort of put that in your mind and putting those two games together, just walk away with a 1-1 at the end of two, and don't worry about getting blown out against Baltimore. Come back and don't let it make you lose game two. And I think if they can be 1-1 after two, that would be a nice start.
It would, Les, and I think that, of course, they go into every game trying to win. We know that. Just like we said about the Indians. They want to win a World Series. They might go about it differently than the Dodgers or the Yankees, but they want to win a World Series. The Browns want to win a Super Bowl. They're going to try their best in Baltimore. I just don't like their chances, especially given that they're banged up on the defensive side. But here's what could also affect your outlook for game two, or for the Bengals game, is how does Joe Burrow look in week one? Because if Burrow and the Bengals look really good in week one, all of a sudden you're going to go, ooh, boy, maybe that's not as easy as we thought it was going to be.
Yeah, good point. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. We mentioned the Browns are an 8.5-point underdog. That's according to BetAmerica.com. Coming up on this Sunday, Mr. Gullible wrote me and said I've been giving conflicting dates, and if I have been, I apologize. We've got the Parkinson's Walk, the virtual Parkinson's Walk, and it's going to be on Cedar Road at Acacia, the preserve there. You can bring your dogs. We're going to do it at, I'm saying 10:45 on Sunday, and we really mean 10 o'clock, but we know you're going to be late, so that's okay. There's a lot of people coming. If you want to talk to a lot of people who have contributed part of this show, you can come by and meet everybody, and that'll be on Sunday morning. 9:45 is the actual time. 10 o'clock is when it all takes off. We'd love to see you there. We want to thank so many people who've contributed money for this phenomenal cause, and we appreciate it very much. The name of my team is Moving More with Less. So if you're looking for people, looking for my team, that's where you're going to find it. Look for the sign. We'll take a break. We'll come back in a moment. Dennis Manoloff is with us. More sports and less Levine, powered by cleveland.com.
We're living in uncertain times, but you don't have to put your future on hold. At Tri-C, you can move ahead while staying safe and saving money. The majority of fall classes will take place online, but we've added a variety of formats to meet your learning needs, and we've taken many steps to keep you safe on campus. Whether you're ready to get started or your four-year plans have changed, check out Tri-C's programs and resources, because Tri-C is where futures begin.
Well, hello, everyone. Let me tell you a little bit about Brown's Football Insider. For only $3.99 a month, you can get text sent right to your phone each day from me, Dan Lobby, Scott Pasco, and Ellis Williams. In addition to that, you'll receive a Football Insider newsletter every day with special things from us, things that you won't see anywhere else on the site. You'll get breaking news, analysis, features, film breakdown, and things like that. Texting us directly gives you a great chance to cut through the clutter of Facebook, Twitter, other social media, and avoid the trolls. Also, it's the only way to get your questions on the Orange and Brown Talk podcast. So why should you sign up? Try a 14-day free trial. You can cancel at any time. All it takes is one text, but you won't want to cancel. We have hundreds of subscribers join us over the last year. They love it and have stayed with us. We're seeing the Football Insider community grow every week. And it's only $3.99 a month, which is less than 14 cents a day. What I like most about Football Insider is the opportunity to connect with you one-on-one and really communicate with you. So how can you become a Football Insider? You can click on cleveland.com/Browns, the blue banner at the top of the page. Or easier yet, text me at 216-208-3965. Again, that's 216-208-3965.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family warm this winter,
here, let me show you how this works.
It takes Bryant.
Bryant. Whatever it takes.
And to keep your family comfortable, it takes Smiley One Heating and Cooling. Find them at smiley1.com.
Let's take a look at this date in sports history. Back in way back when, Billy Martin, 1973, gets fired by Detroit. Then he goes on to get hired and fired 5 times by the New York Yankees and George Steinbrenner, one of the classic eras in baseball history, no question about that. Let's bring in Mike Masetta from Nature Stone. Before we do that, we'll talk about the birthdays today. Former commish Peter Ueberroth, born on this day, facelift in 1947. Harry Bradshaw, 4 Super Bowl wins. Tiny Archibald, Eric Dickerson, and Brandon Ingram, all born on the 2nd of September. Now we bring in Mike Masetta from Nature Stone. Hello, Mike. It's not a floor. Wow, it's Nature Stone. Maybe it isn't.
Oh, Mike.
Hello? I got you guys.
Yeah, we threw in the Nature Stone bit.
Oh, I'm sorry. It was cutting out a little bit. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
There you go. All right, listen, I need a ruling from you guys. Can I get a ruling from you guys? Because you guys look like you know much more about law than I do. So I get this email from Todd Withrow. And he says, my mom is a huge fan of yours and watches the show every night. Didn't know if you ever do birthday shout-outs, but she turns 83 on September 2nd. That's today. Her name is Donna Withrow from Amherst, Ohio. All right, guys, let's vote. We're not normally allowed to do that. We don't want to get into trouble with any authorities. Anybody have a way of helping me get out of this? Mike, what do I do here?
Well,
I'll defer to Mike.
I'm gonna defer on this one. I'm gonna say, Donna, happy birthday from all of us at Nature Stone. How
there
does
you
that
go.
work?
I was gonna say, don't defer. She may be a customer someday.
That's right. From everyone at Nature Stone, we wish you a very happy birthday.
There you go. D-Man, you agree with this? Should we
Yes.
allow? We can break the rule here for
Yes.
Donna Withrow. We need all the people we can get from Amherst, Ohio. Happy birthday! Appreciate what you watching very, very much. All right, the D-Man, Dennis Manoloff, and Mike Macetta. All right, another wild week, and it gets wilder when football season starts in the next week. And what are you more excited for, this quasi, uh, this pennant race, this whatever you want to call it, or the Browns opening up? What gets you more excited right now? Start with the D-Man.
Oh, well, the Browns opening up for sure, but in late September, in other words, probably September 20th on, I'm really going to be excited about the MLB postseason.
How about you, Mike Macetta?
I honestly, I have not missed April through June. I'm
Wow.
on board with the Indians. I love what they're doing, and I'm very excited from this point through the rest of the season. The Browns are more of an afterthought for me at this point in time.
All right, let me guess, if you're like me here, that going into the season and when they announced what was going to happen with the baseball season, I didn't like it one bit. I'm not going to say I'm hooked on it, but there's some things that are intriguing here. And I mean, I hate the bunt rule or the putting a guy on second. And actually,
Yeah.
I'm coming around on the 3-batter rule. That's okay. But I just love the game. Don't touch it. Don't mess with it. I don't want to see those 7-inning doubleheaders either, by the way.
I respectfully disagree with Les, and I don't know what Mike thinks, but I'm liking, the more MLB I watch, the more I like it. I didn't think I would like the 3-batter minimum, the 7-inning doubleheaders, the runner on second in the extra innings. I like all three of them. I knew I would like the DH, universal DH, which has happened. But regarding the specifically the runner on second and extras, the reason I didn't think I would like it at all is because I thought it would be a standard, bunt the runner over, sacrifice him in. But I haven't seen that many teams do that. You're very stubborn in the 21st century game. They don't want to bunt the runner over and have the runner on third with one out. So they're trying to score him, in conventional means or by a hit.
I totally disagree with you. And I'll tell you why. I think what they know and they've learned for sure is that their guys don't know how to bunt. And Mike Macetta can take his son, Russell, take him out to the ballpark, and I bet you he can lay down 8 to 10 bunts on one of my 42-mile-an-hour fastballs.
Les, I'm with you 100%. I think the only reason why they don't bunt is because they can't bunt, and it's got nothing. I would tell you that I've seen Major League Baseball players try to bunt for the last several years now, and I don't see any of them except for the pitchers get the bunt down. And you could say that that's because they don't practice it enough, and you can say that that's because the spin on the ball is so difficult to pick up. It's hard to get that bunt down. But at the end of the day, these guys don't bunt. It's a completely lost art. I think they need to start bringing it back, or else you're just going to see batting averages continue to drop, and power numbers are going to flatline at some point. I don't think that they're going to continue to increase because the steroid era, quite frankly, is over.
Hey, D-Man,
there's.
D-Man, you and I have seen guys around the batting cage. They take two pitches, they fling their bat at the ball, and then say, okay, bring me a real pitch. And they don't practice that either. And it's almost like it bothers me when I'm watching a game in a normal season, let's say in the month of July, and there's a play at a ground ball, and the pitcher has to cover first. And they do it successfully, and then one of the announcers says, well, they practice that every day in the spring training. You should practice that every day of your life, not just spring training.
Yeah, you would think, Les and Mike, and here's the thing, the 21st century game, the new metrics say that the bunt is passé, and they'll throw data at you that shows that there's no reason to sacrifice a runner, that the odds are better that you just swing away than move the runner to second or third with one out. So maybe guys feel like, all right, because of the new game that they're in, they don't really have to practice it at all. But if I were a hitter, knowing that in the major leagues especially, you're going to have slumps. Even the best hitters are going to go through slumps during the course of any season, even a 60-game season. if I were a hitter, I would always want that bunt in my bag, especially if they're going to shift on me, because I want to mitigate the slumps. I want to feel good about myself at the plate. And if I go up to the plate in an 0 for 14 or a 1 for 17, and I see a shifted infield and I've got open pasture on down the third base side, I'm going to want to get on base so I get a knock so that I can feel better about myself. To heck with what the
I don't understand it at all. I'll watch a game and they'll show the alignment of the infield, and you got the third baseman is standing between the second base and where the second baseman plays. I know it's a manhood kind of thing, and they don't want to bunt. But if you bunt that ball down the third base line, and it doesn't even have to be a great bunt, you're going to get more pitches to hit next time you come up. Or am I missing something totally here?
Well, logically speaking, yes. But I'll take it a step further. And where are the Tony Gwynns? I mean, if I was batting and I saw that shift on, I would just slap the ball the other way. Forget laying a bunt down. Just have some bat control and slap the ball the other way. But these guys, they don't have that type of bat control anymore because they're pull happy and they're trying to hit the ball out of the ballpark. And when they have 2 strikes on them, they don't shorten up and put the ball in play. And like D-Man was saying, not only the bunt would help you out there, but also just putting the ball in play. The most important thing that a batter can do, quite frankly, is get on base. I don't care how you get on base, whether it's by a walk or by a hit, by an error, whatever it is. And if you don't put the ball in play and you just strike out, you're not putting any pressure on the defense to make any type of play at all.
And you got the batter, and you got the batter who doesn't have to be perfect in doing that, just getting the ball in play. If the third baseman is standing on second base and the pitcher, who's probably not a good fielder anyway, just get that ball. You got a lot of room out there. Just get the ball anywhere on the green grass, and you got yourself a hit, and maybe a ball thrown down the right field line and gets you to second or third.
Sure. And I've seen so many times over the last few years, 3 to 5 years, where you've got guys on first and second, and I know I understand. I don't understand the metrics because I'm not in that field, but I know that there are metrics, and I know what they're telling the people who are in charge of that. But at the end of the day, you've got first and second, nobody out. Just count how many times that happens during the course of a game, and they get no runs out of that.
Yeah.
They never bump the guys over to second. If you bump the guys over to second and third, a fly ball gets a run in, a ground ball, unless it's a close game late in the game, a ground ball is usually going to get a run in. There's all different ways that you get a pass ball on the catcher will get a run in. There's all different things that could happen to get the run in by Buddy. I have seen so many times, first and second, nobody out, bases loaded, less than 2 outs, and and it's not just the Indians, it's all the teams, are not even getting a single run in those situations.
Yeah.
And unless they score 5 runs in an inning,
well, the
Indians, they score 5 runs in the first inning, they're done for the game. Yeah. That's it. That's all they score.
Terry Francona's favorite stat is the percentage of how many games you win when you score first. It's an incredibly high. No, it's an incredibly high. It's in the 80s, I think.
Yeah. So, first team to score. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Mike, we got to go. What do you have to say about Nature Stone?
Hey, I just got to say, wow, it's Nature Stone, guys. That was a great conversation. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Michael. We'll talk to you soon. Mike Macetta, the chairman of the board at Nature Stone.
Love Mike.
You got the D-Man is with us. Northeast Factory Direct. They are the place to go if you're looking for anything and want to spend half price. That's where you go. 3 locations plus. Go to the website first at northeastfactorydirect.com. D-Man and I return in a moment. More sports and less Levine is of course, powered by cleveland.com.
Never replace your basement flooring again. Act now for huge summer savings on our exclusive Nature's Pearl Stone, as low as $2.99 a square foot plus installation. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today. It's not just a floor.
Wow, it's Nature Stone.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a line. A long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Presque Isle Downs Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs Casino.
So JoJo, I'm very happy he's here. He has got exceptional quickness. He catches punts and kickoffs very, very well. And I studied him and I knew a little bit about him from the last few years in the league, but you don't get as many reps and seeing him catch the ball and how he tracks the ball. And he's very, very good at that, which obviously it bodes well for him and for us. He's got his vision is good. We're working on some different things with him to help him be successful more downfield, but he's going to make that first guy miss more than not. And that's the exciting thing about him. And like I said, he catches the ball, tracks the ball well. So he's done a nice job both at punt and kickoff returner. And then Donovan, who had a lot of punt return experience, who looks like a kickoff returner because of how big and fast he is, he's done a nice job in both return phases as well. So we have really four guys. Those two guys and Dontrell Hilliard and Dearness Johnson are all competing for those two return spots.
Hey, Kevin, how much emphasis have you guys put on the impact of the return game? I know there's an area that Mike wasn't happy with or satisfied with last year.
Yeah, I think, Scott, when we're putting this plan together and as we're building this team, we're trying to shore up any areas that we thought maybe there were deficiencies and double down on the strengths. So we really want to make sure that our return game is a weapon for us because this is a field position game.
And is it tough choosing between different body types like a JoJo Natson and a Donovan Peoples-Jones?
I think everybody brings a little bit something different to the table. And I can tell you that I've seen really big returners in my day. Cordero Patterson comes to mind. Then there's some of those little guys. Darren Sproles comes to mind that are just hard to get on the ground. So I think they come in all shapes and sizes.
There you go. Here's the return game preview. And we talk about JoJo Natson. And there you see what he did. And it's surprising. D-Man, it's surprising how little the Browns have gotten in the last 20-some years since they've been back, other than Josh Cribbs. Little how much they've gotten from the return game. There you see Donovan Peoples-Jones from Michigan and see what he did. Do you agree with that or not?
Oh, the special teams has been a very disappointing part of the very disappointing Cleveland Browns since 1999 on balance. You wonder why that particular phase of the operation can't be better because, you could say, well, we don't have the skill position players for the offensive side or we don't have the elite talent for the defensive side. Okay, but what's the excuse on special teams, really? I mean, are they studs on special teams automatically?
Probably
I'm
not.
not trying to disrespect them, but usually they're trying to work their way up the food chain, so they should be hungry and fundamentally sound.
That's exactly how I look at it.
Hopefully the Browns have a good run this year.
Let's go to the phones. Let's go to Erie, Pennsylvania. We'll say hi to Jack. Jack, go ahead. You're on with Dennis Manoloff.
Hey, guys. Great to talk to you. Appreciate you fitting me in.
Great to have you with us.
Real quick on the punt returns, wasn't why I called, but they throw so many flags now, not just against the Browns on returns. I'd be down if they just sent 8 or 9 men for a block and fair caught it every single time.
Yeah, just let it bounce around and at least you get possession of it.
Yeah, I mean, how frustrating is that when you're watching on TV and you don't see the flag thrown? You think, oh, we're starting at the 35, and then all of a sudden, oh, flag, you're starting back at the 12. And
I remember a game, I can't tell you what game it was last year. They kicked the ball, they punt the ball, fair catch is called for, and even before the catch was made, I said, all right, I'm going into the kitchen to get something to eat. And meanwhile, the play goes on.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. But my question is, and you guys kind of hit on it earlier, I understand patience, new coach, a bizarre offseason, new scheme, all that offensive and defensive. But you guys mentioned it, and I'll take it to week 3. So I've been looking at it at week 3. I don't necessarily care if they lose in Baltimore, but you've got the Bengals on a short week with a rookie quarterback, and then Washington with a first-year head coach and a very unproven second-year quarterback and a pretty terrible roster.
You should be 2-1 and not care how you got there.
Absolutely. I mean, if I think that, and I wonder if you guys agree, if they don't start 2-1, I think it's going to be. Those are 2 easy games, to be honest. After Baltimore, they don't start 2-1. It's going to be tough.
No, but you can never call the Browns an easy. You can never say the Browns have an easy game. No, until they prove that they can win, especially at home. You can't say it's an easy game.
And Jack and Les, you know that on the Washington Redskins schedule, they're going to have Cleveland circled.
Right. No doubt. And then real quick, I had one other question, and D-Man, you use the word install. That's been the buzzword. I keep every podcast I listen to everyone's using the word install. Do you think that maybe, given the fact that we should have a pretty good offensive line, hopefully Tretter's back for week 1, do you think we could see them just pound Chubb and Kareem Hunt and try to go like 2 tight ends, sort of like Stanford the first few weeks to get their legs under and maybe try to win some games like 17-13?
I'd be doing it.
Yeah, Jack, absolutely. And you mentioned Tretter, and I'm glad you did. That's an enormous piece, in my opinion, in most people's opinion. I surely hope that he's ready. I don't know exactly what his status is as of today, but it would be nice to have Tretter at center, regardless of who's at center, regardless of who's at guard or tackle. They will try to run the ball. All they have to do is look at how they ran it in week 4 last year when they beat the Ravens in Baltimore. But more recently, just look at what Tennessee did to the Ravens in Baltimore in that playoff game with Derrick Henry. So,
all right, Jack, I got to move on. Do me a favor. Call us a little earlier next time, okay?
Okay, thanks.
Great to talk to you. Let's take a break. We'll come back one more time with Dennis Manoloff right here, powered by cleveland.com.
Wow! Get Nature's Stone and never replace your garage flooring again. Act now for huge summer savings on our exclusive Nature's Blend Stone, as low as $2.99 a square foot plus installation. Only Nature's Stone eliminates cracked, uneven concrete, and Nature's Stone never peels like cheap paints and coatings. Safe, beautiful garage flooring that's always backed by Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor.
Wow, it's Nature's Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
All right, Mary Kay Cabot is going to take a couple of weeks off as she gets ready for the regular season. She will rejoin us in a couple of weeks. Tomorrow, the Dangerous Daryl Ryder, will join us from 92.3 The Fan. And, of course, you see us from 6 until 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And you can archive us all day, all night. So tomorrow night, it's Dangerous Daryl with you. Let's, the D-Man, Dennis Manoloff. D-Man, we took a vote within the press box here, and this is one of your strongest performances ever.
Well, I appreciate that, but I do have to make a clarification on what I said at the beginning of the show, because a couple of my buddies got me with some text. I didn't mean to say that I was content with an approach that the Indians have where they're not all in for a World Series every year, or so it appears. I'm simply saying that I'm willing to live in reality. I'm not sitting here thinking that the Dolans are going to change their approach or that ownership is going to change its approach. Therefore, I don't tear my hair out when they don't go all in. That's what I was trying to say.
How about the Padres versus the Indians for the World Series?
That is a worst case scenario for Cleveland because if we lose the World Series because of Mike Clevenger,
Wow. Well, there's a lot of teams you can do that to.
What's that?
A lot of teams you can lose to now.
Yeah, I mean,
You don't want to lose to the Reds with Trevor Bauer, do you?
right. We got to hope. By the way, speaking of the Reds, as bad as they've been, can you imagine if they sneak in the 8th seed and it's number 8 Reds against number 1 Dodgers in a 3-game series, and the Reds throw Bauer and Sonny Gray at you?
Yeah. Good point. All right, we got to go. Great job. When are you on WTAM next? Tomorrow?
Tomorrow night, 7 to 11, and then sub for Triv on Friday.
That'll be great. Thanks, D-Man. Great job. All right, thanks to Mike Macetta also. That'll do it for us. We'll see you tomorrow night with Dangerous Daryl Ryder. Of all the shows I've ever done, this was the most recent.